Good morning. I'm Past District Governor Andy Glazier, and along with my partner and co-chair Lorraine Faherty from Damascotta, we are your co-chairs of our District 7780 Grow Rotary team, or as some would say, membership chairs. We have all sorts of important people here with us this morning. I probably will forget a few here, but we've got Mike McGovern and Marty Hellman. Thank you very much. Future Governors Claudia Frost and Dick Hall. Most importantly, we have you, past District Governor Marie Williams, and we have our current governor, Peggy Belanger. Peggy, do you have any good morning words for us today?
Good morning, good morning. Hello, everyone. So nice to be with you. That's my words.
Well, thank you very much. For those of you who perhaps may have looked at the agenda, we're actually going to change that up just a little bit. And we will get to talking about techniques clubs are using to gain new members. And we will get to talking about using service projects to gain new members. But we're going to start with Marty Hellman from Booth Bay Harbor, who is on our Zone 2832 Innovative Club team or something like that. Marty.
Thank you, Andy. It would be one of those weird Rotary job titles, but it doesn't matter. The point is that it's all about growing Rotary, and in traditional ways and also in ways we may not have done before. And to that end, I wanted to talk about the Thursday night program that the zone hosted. We called it a director dialogue. I don't know if anybody else on this call was on that. If you were, raise a hand. Any hands being raised? Yes, Claudia was, Peter was, Lorraine was. Okay, so if I go, Dick was. So if I go off the track, you can straighten me out. But this was an opportunity for, Dave Underhill was also on because he introduced our guest, which was past RI President Ian Risley from Australia. And past President Ian talked about the 6 areas of focus, and he also talked about our newest area of focus, which is coming online, actually effective July 1, but whoever waited for the starting gate, and that is on the environment. Ian, past President Ian, during his year as RI President, asked all Rotarians to plant a tree, and in actual fact, that would have been 1.2 million trees, but we came out with a multiple of that, 3 or 4 million trees. So there's a great deal of interest in the environment. In fact, if Brenda Cressy, our trustee, was on this call, she would say that in the past 5 years, we've done $18 million in global grants in the environmental area, mostly through the water and sanitation area of focus, but also in disease prevention. So there's a great deal of interest in work in the environment. And that has led to the possibility of having special interest Rotary clubs dealing with environment. Of course, you don't need an area of focus to have a special interest club, but it's a real spur. So such a club would probably, not necessarily, but probably be mostly virtual and get together for service projects, whether those projects are to clean up the beach or the roadway, to promote promote no longer using single-use plastics, to build trails, to education programs around good use of the environment, and of course global grants. And in fact, I'm involved in a global grant right now in Uganda, which is a water and sanitation grant. It's to build a toilet block, but oh yes, it's also going to include 1,300 fruit trees, so that both to keep the soil in place and also to give the young people in the area a business that they can do to take care of the trees and sell the fruit. So there's all sorts of opportunities for such a club. I frankly think that we could have an eco club in every district in the zone, reaching out to people of all ages and all stripes, but with a special interest probably for younger people. So if you or anybody in your club or anybody who recently left your club, if you think such a person would be interested in getting involved in an eco club, I'm going to put my email in the chat box, so you can always get me through through Andy. And I would love to see what we can do to develop that idea here in the district. And one more thing, and that is this Director Dialogue Series, the opportunity to hear from past President Ian and speak with him and ask him questions is really a great opportunity to talk to our senior Rotary leaders who are part of the decision making. And so that's not a one-off. We're not going to have a director dialogue in December because there's too much else going on in December. But the next one will be the second Thursday in January, 7 p.m. Eastern, and it will be an opportunity to talk to past RI President Barry Rassin. So that's my paid political announcement. And I will turn it back to you, Andy, and I'll put my name in the chat, my email in the chat.
Marty, thank you very, very much. I think adding supporting our environment as our 7th area of focus is very, very exciting because it offers us opportunities all over the place. Not only, as Marty talks about, let's develop a theme-based environmental support club, but it's also a very marketable concept that you can use in your club to attract people who might be under the age of 60. I mean, I think that's great. Those of you who are on this call right now, who are also in the Thursday night meeting, do you have more to add to what Marty said? Claudia, Dick, probably Mike? Governor Peggy first.
It was so well done. And I heard, all right, past President Ian speak at International Assembly about the focus, the environmental focus. And it's nice to see that we're almost there. I believe it'll be launching in February. And please correct me if I'm wrong, but I understand that our own Brenda Cressy is going to be part of it has been as a trustee and has and is going to be helping to with the oversight of this. Am I correct, Mike?
I'm not sure, Peggy. I'm just not sure. I know she's been part of it, but I don't know if that's true going forward.
Yeah, I wrote it in my notes somewhere, but I mean, I think that that's exciting that we have someone right in our district who is at the top of this new focus.
Wonderful. The next hand I saw up was Dick Hall and then Claudia.
Yeah, one of the things that after the meeting, the group of governors or district governor-elects that I talked to regularly from many pets were excited about that. And one of the things we were thinking about was if we could form an eco club in our district, then that club could not only do their own projects, but they could organize or be the focus for district-wide eco projects, like a beach cleanup or something like that, or planting trees or whatever. So it becomes not just one club, but what we can offer that group is probably 43 clubs to do work once they come up with the idea and start organizing it. So I'm pretty excited about the concept.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dick. Claudia?
Yes, I'm very interested in the project as well. I left Maine in 1971. Every river was polluted in the state of Maine. I went to Alaska where they thought they could do everything and not pollute. I became an environmentalist in Alaska, returned to Maine to find that we had cleaned up the rivers. So there's always hope. It was great to see Ian Risley. Last time I had seen him, I was in Coventry, England with Lonnie Hackett. So it brought back a lot of memories. It was very worthwhile.
Very good. Thank you, Claudia. Anybody else was on that meeting? Lorraine?
Yeah. The idea of doing project-centered clubs or theme-centered clubs like ecology or whatever, I just think that's really exciting. It'll attract different members, and yet it'll, if you live in Maine or New Hampshire, that certainly is part of why you live here, is for the environment. So it's not attracting new young members to the exclusion of us senior people. And, so it's a great mix. great mix.
Wow, thank you, Lorraine. So the opportunities here are just wonderful. I see Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. You know, one other thing I think that we ignore sometimes in Rotary is the opportunity for us to put on forums on different issues. You know, it brings attention to Rotary. It's also, you know, an opportunity to, you know, create community dialogues. I see, you know, this emphasis on the environment, you know, a way to do that. And I look at, you know, there's a lot of interest in farm to table issues in Maine. There's a lot of communities that have green belts, areas, you know, trying to do preservation. I know land trusts do a lot, but there are some gaps in that. And I think organizations like Rotary, you know, there is an opportunity. And one other comment I do want to make, I was on the Rotary board with Ian back in 06, 08. And every year we used to get the financial report from Rotary International. They're talking about millions of dollars. Well, I zeroed in on something. Rotary had a program called Preserve Planet Earth. And it was started by a former president of Rotary, Paulo Costa from Brazil. And that particular year, when we look at the financial statements, we spent in Rotary International $97 on preserving planet Earth. That was the amount that showed up in the financial statement. And, you know, I actually raised it during the board meeting, and Ian was the treasurer that year. And, you know, he said, Michael, we need to do something about that. And, you know, anyway, he was going to do it. It wasn't because of that. But I'm just so pleased that Rotary has advanced to, we're going to spend more than $97 preserving planet Earth.
Mike, thank you. And that was a good accent. Good job there. Anybody else? Do any of us who are here this morning, is your club already working on environmental related projects that you can just boost a little bit or expand or increase your public image awareness of them? Looking left and looking right. Thank you very, very much.
Hey, Andy.
Hi, Peter.
Yeah, we're trying to build a relationship with the Western Foothills Land Trust. They've got several properties that we'd like to get involved in, like you said about trail building and what have you. But I know that Beth was also involved with the Mahoosic Land Trust. So they're very active as well.
Oh, thank you, Peter.
Yep.
Very, very good. Lucy, I see Lucy.
You're muted.
Muted. There we are.
That reminded me, you're right, Bethel is very involved with the Mahoosic Land Trust and just funded their trail expansion, connecting the center of Bethel to the Land Trust property with an accessible trail. We were the cornerstone grant that allowed them to get the other grants they needed, and they've started the trail. We did a year or so ago tree planting along the existing part of the trail. And, you know, we do the usual trash pickups, but I had forgotten the land trust cooperation.
Oh, thank you, Lucy. Hi, Ted Trainer.
Yeah, I neglected to mention too, the Kennebunkport side, we have an active relationship with the Kennebunkport Conservation Trust and adding to their trail system and helping maintain it. But there's a lot more we could do.
Wow, thank you very much. Governor Peggy, and then Chris.
What's exciting, you know, as we move forward in looking at a cause-based club like an ecology club, is the fact that for years now, this district has been ecologically minded. And I think about the last few years where clubs have received district grants to support, you know, cleaning our parks, you know, cleaning our streets, putting in trails. You know, I think we already have a good base for us to move forward, and it's exciting. And you know, when you think about all the work that's already been done and that people are prepared to do, you know, it sounds like there's even a lot more focus for us and purpose and ability for us to do that.
Thank you, Peggy. Chris? There we go.
We have a local organization, Coastal Conservancy, that I think we could do some good work with locally here. I'm former headmaster of Lincoln Academy, which is our local high school. And I think we could be very successful there at recruiting students to join us.
Sounds good. Yes, I agree. Admin note, I can no longer see everyone at one time. So if I'm not responding to your hand waving, unmute yourself and speak up, and that will bring you to the front. Anybody else is
Hi,
involved?
Ann.
Hi, Marie Williams, and then Yulia. First,
I
Marie.
just want to state that Pam got the Kittery Rotary Club involved in beach cleanup with the local organization. And I wasn't able to go, but they cleaned up a lot of plastic and stuff off of the beach, if I recall correctly, Pam.
I think that's a very popular activity. Quite a few clubs involved in that. Thank you, Marie. Good morning, Yulia.
Hi, Andrew. It's good to see you. I wanted to say that the Dover Rotary just did the same. We cleaned Wallen Pond from debris and bottles and things like that. But what I wanted to say is that I feel like this is a great opportunity to partner with a lot of other local organizations. As you mentioned, the conservation groups. I'm also a member of the Southeastern Land Trust. And there are a lot of opportunities. There are many younger people and people who are involved in the environmental projects. And I feel like there's so much going on already that it may behoove us as an organization to partner with these groups who are organizing the trail cleanups and all that other stuff. And I think we get a lot more bang for the sweat equity as well as the proverbial buck. Kind of piggyback on existing projects instead of reinventing the wheel and trying to do everything from scratch. I think there's a lot of opportunity to partner.
Yulia, very well said. And your club certainly maintains beautiful gardens in York. So thank you for that. Dover.
Close enough. I knew what you meant.
Anybody else involved currently in environmental related projects that you could leverage or promote? Going once, twice, thrice. We're moving on to the next segment of our program today, which is some clubs are growing. How do they do that? So since February, our district is down about 6% in membership. And that doesn't actually traumatize me. It's disappointing, but it's not traumatic to me. In the Great Depression, I understand that Rotary lost about 5 or 5.5% of membership, but it came back. My club is suffering a little bit. We're slightly down. I admit that, just to make everybody comfortable who's not on the upswing. But we do have clubs that very interestingly are actively recruiting members right through this pandemic. Exeter, Dover, Boothbay, Damariscotta come to mind very quickly. How do they do that? How have they figured out how to do that? Marty Hellman?
We just inducted 2 under 35s. We did it by reaching out to them. We happen to have a president-elect, I guess she's the vice president, who is barely 35. She wrote an article that ran in the paper about everything that she was getting, that she was astonished and amazed at how many good friends she had, which were 20, 30, and 40 years older than she was, and how much leadership development she was getting out of Rotary and what she was doing. And she also, and at the same time, our board agreed that anyone under the age of 35 who came on as a member would have their club dues, obviously not their district or international dues or their dinners, but their club dues would be 0 until they reach the age of 35. Frankly, it didn't cost us anything. I think we had 2 people who are under that category anyway. So it's not exactly like there was a concern for our budget. And we've already brought in, I believe, 3. Oh, well, then we had what Rotary likes to call a fireside chat, only we called it something a little more exciting. I forget what we called it. And we actually, in the middle of the pandemic, had a meeting of anybody who saw the article, plus we called some people up. And we had, I believe, 8 people came to the meeting, and 3 of them have already been inducted.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's fabulous. And those newspaper articles about how much your members are getting out of Rotary, that's the second one you've run, right?
Yeah, we're running them as brilliance hits and yeah, as opportunity hits, and we think of something to say. Yeah. Oh, and we're very, very fortunate here in the Boothbay region that we don't really have to fight for space in our weekly paper. And by the way, it's a paper, but it also gets reprinted on an electronic version. So we have a built-in way to get the word out, which is nice.
So you're doing public image.
What a concept.
I'm coming next to Lorraine. Lorraine, you've been doing something very unique in Damerscott and Newcastle.
Well, yes, we had a past president and then secretary of the club approached myself as president and the president from this year about the idea of a satellite club, which really was kind of a misnomer because they're not going to go off and form a separate club. It's a program or a committee or whatever. And it's people that couldn't come to the 6:45 a.m. breakfast a little early because of their work commitments. And so they're meeting twice, well, and then nobody was coming to breakfast at 6:45 when they were supposed to be achieving liftoff. So the countdown was put on hold. And then about 3 months ago, they got themselves together without any help from management. They decided, okay, time's enough. They have a place to meet in person once a month in somebody's bonus room where you could have about 10 people, more than adequately spaced. And they have a 60-minute meeting. They talk about what projects they're going to work on this month and next month. Their second, quote, meeting, unquote, is working on some kind of a community project, not inventing the wheel, but assisting other projects that are ongoing, they help the Cancer Society with a walk. They're helping the Y with a program and so forth. And so we have 5 members that have been members of our club for years, including 2 past presidents and an AG from Colorado. And so now they're coming to meetings where they weren't before because it's at 5 o'clock. And 2 new members, well, really 3, one's a business and it's a husband and wife. So I'm counting that as 3 new members and 2 other prospects in the pipeline. And they've given their committee a name. They call themselves LEGS, Locals Engaged in Group Service. So our Rotary has legs, coin a phrase, and they're going strong. And
wow, I tip
that's
my hat to you. I think it's very clever that they adopted this name of legs. It's very, very clever, very marketable. Wilt.
Just to add what Lorraine said, it's kind of exciting because I think one of the issues, as Lorraine points out, is we've added some members, but more importantly, we've preserved some members who have been absent. But I think the other important thing might be to take a look at your Chamber of Commerce, because the majority of the people in this group have work, and one of the conflicts was to get to the bank on time, open up the insurance agent on time. We have 2 retail stores. Mary Kate Rennie has joined us from Rennie's. We've got folks like that are really running off the jobs in the morning. So connecting to the Chamber of Commerce, I think, is a key issue for your Rotary Club. And this group is made up of a majority of chamber members. And as a club is a chamber member too, but that's made a big difference.
I'm a big fan of working with the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you very much for that suggestion. A question to either Wilt or Lorraine, and then we'll come to Carol. Wilt or Lorraine, was it important that you have this personal contact that they be meeting in person? Was that an integral part of the recruiting?
Well, the initial recruiting, of course, was done before COVID
Right.
shut us down.
Right.
But yes, they really felt it was important. And they have a space to do it. And Wilt went to one of the meetings, and I've gone as the AG, and a Rotary resource. And they stay safe, they wear masks, they're distanced. It's a huge room over 2 or 3 garages. And yeah, it was, they couldn't get to meetings before. So now they could do this once a month, 5 o'clock meeting. And so I think that really kind of sucked them in.
They also practice, as Elaine points out, they practice the good health practices. They really want to control the numbers in the large room. So several people have wanted to go, and our leader there, Jane and Debbie, have asked that just notify us in advance so we know who's coming. So they're very sensitive to the health conditions of everybody, and there's nothing to prevent them from continuing on in a Zoom fashion as well. They certainly can do a combo or a hybrid, if you will, with a Zoom and a in-person meeting too. So there's some expansion opportunity as well there.
Thank you, Wilt. Good morning, Carol.
Yeah.
Hi. Hi, everybody. Well, I just wanted to say that the Bridgeton Lake Region Rotary Club, our membership chair is also on this call, but I thought I'd speak up. We've been pretty lucky during the pandemic. We added one new member who came through because of the work we were doing with the food pantries. She's very active. We brought in turned an individual membership into a corporate membership. So we have a couple new members there. We have 2 people who moved to the region who were Rotarians elsewhere, and they've joined the ranks. So, you know, some of it was luck, and well, some of it was luck, and some of it was, I don't know, just being determined. The other thing that's kind of exciting is that our president-elect just had a baby, and I've reached out to people on our PR committee and said, you know, I really want to talk to the world, our world, about the young families in Rotary. And I've got at least an okay from some of them, but we have at least 4 members, if not more, who have kids who are very young, either infants or toddlers or elementary school. And I liked that idea that I can't see the face right now. I don't know if it was Marty or who it was who talked about that article in the paper. And I was just going to write an article, but I love the idea. I guess I'll maybe write it in somebody else's voice and have them, you know, okay, they are big Rotarians. They also happen to be, at least 2 of them are also on the board of the Chamber of Commerce. So at any rate, that's one of my ideas. Now, the downside for me is how do I transfer about a dozen people who are friends of Rotary and very active in our service work into members? And that I haven't created yet. It's something that we're working on.
Wow, thank you, Carol. Friends of Rotary. I love that.
If Carol put your email in the chat,
And then
I'll
Peggy.
send you a copy of that article that was the Booth Bay did.
Thank you. And Peggy, Governor Peggy.
Oh, okay, great. I'll do.
Yeah, what I'm hearing from people, and you know, and I'd like to just segue, is how we as an organization, we as Rotarians have continued to do great work. And when I think about membership, I can't help but think about how we are spreading and letting people know about our resilience. How, how we are an organization that cares about the world and cares about each other. And I believe that that is one of our important components to being in Rotary and being a Rotarian. When they talk about, or when they define resilience, they say it's the process of adapting well to change in face of adversity or significance. Let's face it, we've been handed 10 years of change in 8 months. And the fact is we're doing it. We are, every single club in this district right now, I can tell you, pretty much every single district is doing work for the community, is doing things internationally. And that's how we can build our membership. That's how we grow people and build interest in our organization. So let's tell our stories. Let's share our stories. When we have, I think I heard, I'm sorry, I forgot. I think it's Wilt, or no, it was Lorraine, about working with the YMCA, and Chris talking about working with this conservation organization. What I would like for us to do is to ask these organizations for us to be speakers. And we have all these people who we bring into our meetings. Let's offer ourselves as speakers to these organizations as well. That puts us out there and letting people know that we are a viable, strong, caring, resilient organization. And I think it gives a different perspective when we look at membership, because, our resilience is holding on to members. We're keeping members because we're keeping them engaged. And that's just as important as recruitment. So I just wanted to put that out there as another way of thinking of membership as demonstrating our resilience.
Thank you very much, Governor Peggy. Claudia?
Yes, just briefly, I wanted to give you a little history of the Brunswick Rotary Club, which some of the older members will tell you was huge. There were 120 members. What happened? Well, 120 members is a lot for Brunswick, but we did charter, or helped to charter, the Brunswick Coastal Rotary in 1990. It was painful. It was painful. I wasn't here. And then again, though, in 2006, we chartered the Topsom Club, which is still small, but it meets. And what is really wonderful is that when we do things together as a group. But I would encourage Lorraine and her and Damer Scott at Newcastle to encourage that satellite club to be their own entity. It is the way to grow. And it doesn't, it helps us, and we can always work together.
Thank you very much. I want one quick comment from me to Carol and the group. Assistant Governor Bob Reed, before he had to step away a little bit to help deal with some family issues, was working towards developing a theme-based young mother support satellite club in his area. So Carol, others have thought of that idea as well, and I think that's a great idea. Theme-based satellite clubs. So I'd like to move on to our next phase, which is to discuss how we are using service projects to improve our public image and recruit. Public image and recruiting are so intertwined with each other. So I'm looking for some examples of what clubs are doing for service projects that's boosting your public image and therefore helping with your recruiting. I see Peggy. I'm looking for another hand first. I'll go with Barker and then come back to Peggy.
Carol actually had referred to this a little bit earlier, but we received a grant, district grant for working with the food pantries and doing hygiene products. That coupled with, we do the community kettle thing for free dinners, and looking for volunteers to work in those particular service projects. Carol has probably attracted, I'm guessing maybe a half dozen or more people that are not members to work in those groups. And we actually have gotten interest from about 3 of them to join as members. One of them has joined. And one of the transferees that she mentioned was attracted to the club. She just was saying that it was Rotary heaven up here compared to where she was before, because we were so active. We're in the, actually Carol's responsible for this too. We're in the paper every week. We probably have a quarter page of section in there. So I think they look at what we're doing as we're enabling them to participate in supporting the community, and they're looking for a way of doing it, and we've provided that way. So if you're active and they see that you're involved, they'll look at you as a way to get involved. And I think that if we can persist with this for a while, that it will attract a number of new members out there. It's a very effective way of doing it.
So it works. Thank you very much. I'm going to go to Governor Peggy, and then I'm going to go to Marina from Kittery and ask her what she's doing for service. Governor Peggy.
Certainly the Million Mask Challenge for us this year was a huge public image opportunity, and it's still going on. There's going to be an article in the York County Co-Star. The president of the Sanford Rotary Club was interviewed, and there were pictures taken and masks distributed. Masks are still being distributed. So, you know, it's an ongoing public image opportunity, but also I understand that it's given us the collaboration with various organizations has also helped improve our image and awareness.
Thank you. Marina, and then Yulia.
Andrew, Andy, I think you're using my tactic of calling on people. What I was thinking through when we talking about it, I think our club does a lot of different events, fundraisers, community services, many different cleanups, collecting the product. Pam is overseeing the blood donations. I don't think we're closing the deal well on bringing the new members in. Actually, I was reading a recent post on social media that Dave put it together for can donation and the check that we presented. And it got shared to the Kittery community page, but we are not asking Kittery community members to participate in our events or to become a member. So I think this is the gap that we have. We are extremely involved with the community, but not as much on closing the gap and bringing the members. It's almost we're missing that last step of asking to become members of the club.
Good assessment. We're not closing the sale, but hearing the other clubs that are doing that successfully, that's good motivation for those of us who can improve. So I'm going to go to Yulia and then Ted.
Yeah, I think one of the really interesting, I'm new to Rotary. I'm just a little over a year. I've never belonged to this organization anywhere else. And I've heard of it sort of out of the side of my ear, but I've never participated in any of the programs. And what I found is that there are a lot of things that the Rotary does that really align with my mission and my ethics. And I think one of the things that I find really interesting that in the community, when I talk to people and I say, well, we can bring this project to the Rotary, I get a reaction from a lot of people who are not part of this organization, like that it's a very conservative, stodgy group of people. And I didn't find that to be true at all. I found them, my group in Dover and lots of other people that I've met to be very open-minded, very progressive, very interested in a lot of different things. And I think there is also that maybe a perception of a certain, I don't know, how to say it without hurting anyone's feelings.
Go ahead.
This is like a, conservative, stodgy group of people. And I just don't think that's reality after meeting all the people. And I think that maybe is something that needs to be changed in the that public image of the Rotary. Andy, I'm sorry, it's just my perception so far. I've said, a friend of mine is working on a project, and I said, yeah, we can we can talk to the Rotary. And she's like, oh, would they support something like that? They're pretty conservative. I said, no, they're not.
So public image, better communication. Thank you
Yeah.
very much, Julia. Good morning, Ted.
Yeah, and I have found during this pandemic and various not-for-profits that I work with that there's an increasing emphasis on, quote, social relevance, and organizations that serve as clubs, museums, libraries, to be socially relevant. And that's sort of where we are in Rotary, but that's the social relevance is a little bit more activist focus. And I'm thinking of where we work, for instance, we volunteer with the food pantry, which has had to grow quite a bit in the past several months. And that's a great place to recruit members because we're doing something that's current, socially relevant, et cetera, et cetera. I don't mean to be cynical about it, but there is socially relevance is what we like to think we are. But this is just a little sharper focus on that.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you very much. So we have a club in my town, coming to you, Richard, in a minute. We have a club in my town that every month goes out and cleans a town street. It's the entrance road to our Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, which is in Kittery, Maine. And it's a 1,000-foot street, maybe 1,200 feet. It's not a big deal. But here's what they do. They do it at rush hour when everybody's leaving, and they make a big splash out of it. They're all out there in their high visibility vests. They have signage, and they publicize it. So it doesn't take much effort on their part. It takes them about 45 minutes total, after which some of them go for an adult beverage at a bar that's on that street. But they get a lot of visibility out of it. It's very, very easy for them to do that. So I'm coming to Richard. Can't hear Richard. So I'm looking for, yes, Dick Hall.
I took my daughter to the Dominican Republic for a Rotary project for a week. And she said to me, I can't believe these Rotarians are nice people. They're not a bunch of conservative old guys. And she had a lot of fun. She ended up joining the Portland Sunrise Club, and she's been very active since.
Wow, thank you very much. Yes, Claudia, good morning.
Well, just on Dick's comment, I went to Nigeria with Marty and Sheila, and I met somebody who was doing a entrepreneurs conference over there. I hitched my son, John, who's from California, who is a successful entrepreneur, up. And so he got all these calls. At first, he admitted to me that he saw all this stuff coming from Nigeria, and he worried about it being legitimate, and he researched it. And then he did travel to Nigeria, met all the wonderful people there that we had stayed with, and then he joined Rotary, and he was president of his Rotary in Marin County the same year that I was president of the Brunswick Rotary. So there you have it.
Thank you very much. I know some clubs are gearing up for winter sales, fundraisers like Christmas tree sales. Those aren't necessarily a service project, but they certainly get a lot of public image or public attention. So that's good. I was looking for. Yes, Leonard.
I am a member of a very large Rotary club, and I, in my heart, really want to be a better Rotarian. And that's why I spend a lot of time with district, because I find a large variety. I'm very specifically interested in teenagers and sailing. And it's very hard for me to find an audience in my club. It's 100+ members. And so I am wondering if there's anybody in district who is interested in teenagers and sailing. And I'm not necessarily trying to sell a satellite club, but something like that. And I'll drop one name. It's called Friends Forever. And that's an international organization. So I'd like to figure out how to get more people interested in the same thing I'm interested in. So go ahead.
Thank you for bringing that up. We have Rotary International action groups. We call them RAGs, Rotary Action Groups. And these are collections of people from all different clubs who have a common interest, whether it be they're private pilots, or they drink wine, or they're a beer lover, or they're working on hearing aids somewhere else. But Rotary Action Groups, we are also starting to develop, through the efforts of past District Governor John Labasco, Rotary District Affinity Groups, which is the same thing, but on a district level. And was actually going to chat about that a little bit on our Wednesday night call, which is a new member orientation, where we're explaining what Rotary is beyond your own club. That new member orientation on 6:30 p.m. Wednesday is open to everyone, of course. It's open to all of you. And in that event, which I will shamelessly plug now, we are endeavoring to show new members, and there's no definition of new members. New members could be last week, new members could be last year. We're totally flexible. Endeavoring to show that there's Rotary beyond the edge of your club, that there's more to Rotary than just your club, that there's district, that there's zone, that there's this big worldwide structure, that there's multi-club projects going on, that there are Rotary action groups, that Rotary District Affinity Groups, that Rotary has 7 areas of focus. Maybe your club only focuses on 2 or 3. Be aware that Rotary is doing more probably than just your club is. So that's 6:30 p.m. Wednesday. There'll be an email going out to that effect tomorrow morning and Wednesday morning with a Zoom link for that. So Leonard, perhaps there's something there for you in the affinity groups. I'm not sure, but it's one more little bit of knowledge for you. Any, who, Pam?
I find out that when I ask a question, I get an answer. So thank you.
Just a quick comment, Andrew.
Yes.
Yeah, just on the service project approach, just a couple of quick ads. One is that we're involved in the bell ringing of food insecurity programs here locally. So that's with our Rotary masks, the big Rotary sign on the mask. So that's a good way to get out in the community and to touch base with a few people that are coming by. We found a good response in the past, and that's working out. That will work out. And also, Booth Bay shared with us over a year or so ago the Community Navigator programs that you've heard of. It's national, and it's basically focused in on a variety of social needs, all kinds of needs, coordinating various services from social departments to food to police force to drug issues and whatever. That's a good community focus if you have one close by to touch base with. Police chief is a Rotarian with us, and the YMCA and the Community Navigator and various church members, church pastors. So they're out there about looking at, I like the word that Ted used, the social relevance that's going on in your community. So if you don't have somebody like that, that's handy, take a look at that. That is a possible project. And the other thing that's real simple is that we have parking vests. We have the Rotary vests that we use. And we're kind of known around town to call Rotary if you need parking support for various events. Now that's less and less of those events going on, let's face it, but that's a simple way of when they see you out there coordinating traffic with various things, and those are Rotarians. So get out and about and you get recognized by that.
Well, thank you very much. Richard, is your hand up?
Yes, I think maybe I'm working this time. My internet is giving me some problems, but I'm Fuzzy Farnsworth from Kennebunk, the Kennebunk Club. And there are a number of things that we're doing. And one of the things that I really think is notable was the restorative justice program. We were very involved in that just a few years ago. Our chief of police, of course, introduced that, Bob McKenzie, who's very active with all the drug things that are going on around the country and particularly the state of Maine. And but somebody just mentioned the bell ringing. We do that for the Salvation Army at Christmas time with Prelude, which is a big event, in Kennebunkport. And of course, this year, we're not sure that's going to materialize. It may not because of COVID. But also we partner with Red Cross doing the blood drives every month. And we also do a chicken barbecue. And this year we did something different. We had a drive-through chicken barbecue and we almost we weren't going to pull it off. We said, let's try it. And we made the most money we've ever made. I think we netted something like $7,000, which was, and we ran out of chicken after 1 hour. It was supposed to be a 2-hour event. So we have to do a better job next year with that. But we have a scholarship raffle that people participate in. And that we usually raise, we usually give $16,000 to $18,000 a year to graduating seniors at Kennebunk High School. And we also try to include those folks that are going on to 2-year schools or 1-year certificate schools, so that we try to make sure that we have a broad range of students' needs being addressed. And the thing that we have coming up this next month is it's our annual, I'm trying to think what we call it. It's a Christmas tree party, annual Christmas tree party for 90 to 100 students, young kids that have been selected by school nurses and town welfare that really need help. And we spend about $200 in each child. And we also take care of their siblings, and we have a big to-do. The only thing with that, you have to be very sensitive because you're dealing with the public and you really can't advertise. You can't identify the students because that wouldn't be kosher for sure. But we also, with the Interact Club, we are doing every year, I don't know if it will happen this year, but we do a Christmas tree recycling pickup. And that usually generates a few $1,000s. But the Interact Club working with the Rotarians is a really great marriage. So we have a lot of things going. And the other thing is usually this time of the year, but not this year, we do fruit sales, oranges and grapefruit. So as I'm listening, I was thinking about our own club, and I sometimes think we're not doing enough. And then when I started listing things down, I'm thinking, wow, this is a pretty impressive list after all. So
Thank you, Richard.
I think we're doing some good things.
Thank you. Awesome. I'm going to go to Nick and then I'm going to wrap it up. Nick? Nick, are you still with us? All right, so let me say a few things in conclusion. Thank you very, very much. Do you remember way back when we used to take the yellow pages in the phone book and we used to start at accountants and look around for an accountant, and then we'd look around for an auditor. And then every once in a while, some years we mix it up and we go look for a xylophone player, and then we look for a zoologist, and we work that list backwards. So I just throw that out there, that you think about who should be in your club, who's not in your club. I Googled this morning, to bring us back to the modern day, to today, I Googled how to recruit members for your nonprofit. 3.5 million hits, 3.5 million ideas of how to recruit members. So here's just one. 100 ways to recruit new members. And it's just a list of reminders. So this is just reminding you that don't forget your basics of recruiting, one-on-one together. And keep thinking about recruiting people for a theme, perhaps for your club, perhaps for a satellite club. Perhaps you go out and recruit a group of young people together as a package instead of just trying to get one young person at a time. Or perhaps you could go out and get a group of nurses or educators, or there are multiple opportunities here. Our next forum will be 10 a.m. the second Saturday in December, December 12th. One more reminder about Wednesday coming right up, 6:30 p.m., new member orientation. It's open to everyone, including all of you. So I hope to see you there. I've got 10:59. It's a beautiful day outside. Thank you for all you do for Rotary. You all do so much. Pam and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
your weekend.
So